Welcome back, my little recusants, to another episode of our Final Fantasy 1 HD Pixel Remaster 100% guide. And as I say, we're after collecting the crown, a super handy and useful key item to let us hopefully hunt down this mystic key, because as I had checked earlier, there were some treasure chests to be collected, but unfortunately we weren't able to collect them because they're sealed behind doors that are locked with the mystic key. So our plan of action, should we be daring enough to partake, is to make our way out of this maze. Just triple check we're not missing any treasure chests, which is good. And yeah, I'm super happy that we're kind of diving back into a series that kind of can be finished out and can be finalized, because as much as I obviously have a massive collection of different RPGs that I enjoy playing, I don't want to kind of feel like there's a bunch of series that I kind of start on a whim and don't actually get a chance to finish. Not looking at Baldur's Gate 3 or Resonance of Fate or Monster Sanctuary, etc. But I have not forgotten about them. They sit presently in my mind. And the hope is that we will eventually be able to hop back and finish them as well. But as I say, I'm just looking through here being like, oh my god, Elven Castle, there's like so many different chests that I have to go find. Like the Chaos Shrine and Castle, you know, Cornelia, etc. But I think what is super useful is that we will get the Mystic Key shortly. And that will result in us being able to get a bunch of the treasure chests done, dusted, and sorted, as it were. But we finally made it through, got the crown key item, as well as a bunch of gills. So we're going to now kit ourselves out, because thanks to our 4x gill boost, we can finally just go into a shop and feel like we can actually equip ourselves with items and spells and gear. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, paralysis is a very powerful ability if we're able to get it off for only a level 3 spell slot. So like, that's not too bad. That is the vibe of Hold Person in 5e. It's like a 2nd level spell, but like insta-crits and the character can't move. Pretty darn 8th amazing, if I say so myself. But I mean, it goes without saying sometimes when it comes to like a Square game, but the music's beautiful. The music is absolutely fantastic, and you know, you could actually sit back and just chill with some of the Elfheim music, you know. But now that we have our money, we can now make our selections for our white mage. And I personally think what's really important is we, like, you know, try and have them be you know, defensive as possible. Try and get them into Null Frost so we can reduce the damage from different elemental spells, particularly if we know we're going to be fighting, let's say, a fire enemy or like a water enemy. No harm in having a battle for that, or spell for that rather, in battle. And obviously we're after getting haste, one of the most powerful spells for ourselves, given that we have a martial artist and a thief. So really good to give them haste where they can just absolutely destroy bosses with a bit of haste on them, you know. Haste and slow, they operate differently based on Final Fantasy 1. The whole vibe with them is that when we get our, you know, 2 hits there, let's say, and the thief gets 4 hits. The idea is that haste just amplifies the amount of hits they're going to get, which obviously just is a massive boost to damage. So what's really cool is that you can actually have Temper, which is another buff spell that can increase their damage per attack, and then haste increases the number of attacks they stack. So between the two of those, it is just absolute crap ton of EXP. And as I say, you will need to have encounters on for a good amount of the game, especially when we get to newer areas, just because we need to fill out that bestiary, and that's really important. And particularly when we get towards endgame and there's like rarer and rarer encounters. So I actually have filled out an awful lot of the bestiary already. And what is super handy is that if we take our time to look through the list again, after we do certain bosses, that can really be a kind of benchmark to go, okay, we fought this particular boss. Do we have everything in the bestiary before that boss? Because there's no point in moving on until we've explored all the areas we've already been in. So for example, we have the Western Keep. We're about to fight a boss here now once we hand over the crown. As I say, this is post commentary here, so we unfortunately were tricked. He is in fact the evil Elf King, who is, after taking the power of the crown and put the prince into a slumber, he's after taking the crystal eye from another witch and now the crown from the elves, and with them combined, we are in trouble. But what we do have is a martial artist, and we are going to make sure that martial artist is alive. So we're going to cast Protect on our characters and Haste. In hindsight, I think we should have put Haste on our monk, who is now hasted. But however, he's doing 6 hits for 150. That's really good. We're going to then cast on Phalendil and protect. We might as well protect our 2 hasted characters. Unfortunately, I don't have Null Shock, but as you can see, massive AoE damage there from the spell. We get 8 hits and 6 hits. And unfortunately, I don't have Null Shock, but what I do have is Heal. So hopefully I can get us together with the heal. And so long as we stay alive, we should be fine. We get hit with darkness. So thankfully, Phalendil comes through with the critical damage, not blinded. So we have beaten the boss, thank goodness. All of us getting level ups, very nice to see. An 8,000 gil, never say never. And yeah, some of the HPs are like minor, and then Orvain is just like, and Serena just jumping into like the 20s. But we're after getting the Crystal Eye. If we hearken all the way back to a different dungeon, we did find a half-blind witch. So this Atmos is after taking her eye. So if we bring back her eye, we will then be able to complete her quest. And when we do that, we'll get a way to wake up the Elf Prince, which will give us the magic key, which will let us continue on with the story. Because like every single RPG, no more than Dragon Quest, which is coming back as well next month, guys, do not worry. But like with every RPG, it's like you need to get this, to get that, to go back to get this, to get that, to go back to this, to get that, to go back to this, to get that, to go back to this, to get that. And with all of that, we actually end up getting the big eye enemy. And I believe that that was one missing from the bestiary. So just make sure, you know, the open sea is an area with particular enemies. So do not let this area go by without trying to make sure you get all the encounters. And what's also a super big pain, I should mention this about the bestiary as well and how finicky it is. One problem with the bestiary is that in terms of enemies being logged into it, you need to make sure you've actually defeated the enemy. And one thing that is a big bummer is that if you are too high leveled, sometimes enemies will flee from you because they are terrified because you are so strong. And like that, we're hopping in here and then I'm going, oh, I'm missing number 15. That's a larger ogre. It's like an ogre gigas. So we'll have to find him shortly. And other than that, I'm like, have I gotten every single water guy? And like, yeah, I'm down to Athos at 33. So everything above here, bar the gigas ogre, you know, we have that all sorted. So it's just number 15. So I can turn off encounters on the sea because we have every single sea encounter. The Sahagin and the sharks, you know. But listen, we get levels, so we won't give out about that either. Nearing level 20, always very good. Docking the boat here. Let's head back to our lovely witch friend and give her back her eye. And as I say, eventually I'm like, yeah, there's certain areas that like, you know, yes, we need to like have encounters on to try and find those rare enemies. But I'm also like, let's finish the story. Let's just get a bit further on. Or at least get to an area where hopefully we'll be able to, you know, have them spawn more regularly. But I'm circling back to Provoca, where we actually got our ship in the first place. We were actually so broke that we literally skipped the spell and item upgrade shop here completely and ended up missing a bunch of other spells. Like Null Shock, for example, would have been useful against Atmos. But however, we're going to buy Silence and we're going to buy Null Shock as well. Invis isn't worth it. It raises our evasion a little bit, but like, you know, not really worth. But then in terms of black magic, we can get some goodies for our red mage. And then I'm like, oh, there's Temper. Well, we had Temper already, but we could learn Blizzard. But then I'm like, I have Blizzara, which is just an AoE Blizzard. I might as well take Dark to actually inflict like a status, you know? And I think that's slightly the problem, is that you might as well have Aura spells and Aga spells, but like, if you had learned Fire early on, you might as well delete Fire if you Faraga and just get like other status effects for the lower level ones. And on we go, looking out for, you know, the Gigas ogres, but nothing too good happening yet. But yeah, we go back to Matoya's magical cave, give her back the crystal eye, and then she gives us a potion of Jolt, which basically will liven anyone awake. So it should break the curse of the Elf Prince. And then she's like, I can see now, I don't need to do anything, but while I'm looking at you, you're not as attractive as I thought you'd be. And I'm like, girl, we shouldn't be throwing shade when we're, you know, an ancient hag living in a cave. You know, it's like, how good is your skin looking with like 0 vitamin D? People in, well, she's not in a glass house, but like people in a cave house shouldn't throw stones. That's my vibe. So once again, we're turning off encounters for the high seas and just zooming back to the elf kingdom to get our magic key and continue on the story. But as you can see, to get this far and have basically every encounter in the bestiary bar like one rare encounter, that being of like the Gigas Ogres, like that's not too bad at all. And enemies do spawn later on in the game as well, and probably the rarer ones become more readily available, I suppose, the longer you and the further you get into the story. But what we're going to be doing now, once we get the magic key, is we're going to then have to be starting a return tour all around our lovely kingdom and world so far to allow us to unlock all of the locked rooms. And as you can see up there in the top right of the map, there is a locked door there, even here in the same castle that we get the magic key. So we are going to be heading on in, awakening the prince with not true love's kiss, but magic tonic from a witch. Your Highness, Your Highness! I was having a terrible nightmare, but you're the warriors. I shall heed the legend and pass on the mystic key to its rightful owners that have come at last. So now we have obtained the mystic key. And it's literally the exact same as Dragon Quest. You're able to go back and revisit all the areas and be like, blue door, I can get this gate-kept loot now. And so thanks to you, the prince is finally awoken. You've brought peace to Elfheim. And to that I say, you're welcome. Just doing my job, but like, you are welcome. There was no point where the Warriors of Light were saying to themselves, oh no, we don't need a reward. It was just the right thing to do. It was like, yeah, it was the right thing to do. But the right thing for you to do, in appreciation of us doing the right thing, is give us money. And, well, if not money, then give us a key that will get us to treasure chests that will have money. See, 700 gil, we're fine. But with that little area, we're after getting all 4 of our lovely treasure chests from the Elfheim Castle. And that's literally all we have to do. We just have to look at each area and then say, have I gone back and have I looked into using the magic key to unlock certain doors? And like that, the Western Keep was the exact same. There was a lot of doors in other areas that were locked by the magic key. So we're heading up through that little gap in the mountains and we're going to head back to the Western Keep. There were only 3 treasure chests here, that's why I'm going back to here first. And unfortunately I go the wrong way. I was a silly goose. And then I'm like, oh, how do I get back to where I want to be? But as I say, this really kind of is the end of the, beginning of the game, 100%. Like, we're kind of starting the midsection, because the midsection is kind of going along and actually collecting the crystals and re-energizing our magic crystals. Because again, we're only the Warriors of Light because we are said that we're going to, like, fix the light from the crystals. But going up against a bunch of wraiths, and that's also another reason why the treasure chests are so important, because sometimes there are enemies inside that you need the treasure chest to, like, spawn rare enemies. So, it's a win-win situation. Not a win for the ghosts, because I mean they're all re-dead again, I guess. But we end up getting a nice falchion. Ooh, a new enemy type, mummies. Let's go. Oh, what a nice dodge, Hema. Serena getting an absolute walloping there. And with a holy light, we blow up all of the mummies. And look, we're nearly synchronizing our levels 100% now. I know they're not like exactly in line, but we do get a lovely trophy for basically, it's a bit cut off down the bottom, so I put it up there, but and look at that, a Blizzara from our red mage, and still nothing is, you know, right. And the mummies can put people to sleep. Absolute disaster. So we do know that, like, it is good that we have our white mage, the one woman wrecking ball herself, Serena. She said, listen, there be baddies that are, you know, unholy in nature. Hold my beer, take my holy light. And we're after getting absolutely demolished there, so we're gonna use Cure. And I'm like, that didn't actually do an awful lot. I'm going to instead use potions because you can buy them way easier. But like, having said all of that, lads, like, you do burn through your potions something fierce, like the very last potion there now, and I'm just, because I'm so close to full health, I wasn't bothered. But as I say, that is another section done, another part of the world map collected, another achievement earned, so like that's always really good. And then we're sitting there being like, we have like Castle Cornelia again, then that could be the vibe, but also we have like 3 in Marsh Cave, so I'm like, listen, let us just triple check what and where we need to go. And then up against these, like, it's tough, you know, because like they're not undead, so I don't have a good AoE if we end up like in a really tricky situation. Don't know why I'm going for Dia again. I already know that they're like immune, you know? Silly Billy. Don't know what I was thinking. And then sleep doesn't work either, and I'm like, oh my god! Should have at least put like temper on or something. And yeah, I think I need to get like 6th level spells now, because like I have 6th level spell slots. I just have no spells to spend those slots on. And I'd say my party would appreciate like an AoE heal that's actually strong. But listen, another one of those done and dusted. And now we can head over and collect our lovely treasure chest of snakes. What you'll notice is there was a slight cut, and I ended up in one cut talking to that enemy, which triggered the fight with the mind flayer looking people. And then I opened the treasure chest and fought a bunch of cobras. And then I opened the final chest, and we ended up in a wee bit of bother, just because in that circumstance we ended up losing and I had to reload the save. So I'm just letting you know that you don't need to talk to all the enemies, you just need to open all the chests, and some of those chests do have enemies, so just be prepared. But we've been doing quite well, and like next episode's going to be more backtracking, so at the very least we're up to date with everything. We have everything that we could possibly get for the point of the game that we are at now. So that way when we go further into the game, we're able just to focus on the collectibles, focus on, you know, the filling out of the bestiary as we go, rather than getting to the end and then saying, oh, actually I have to go back and now do a bunch of extra stuff, you know? But that's pretty much been our episode. We're going to just wrap up this fight and then save and continue on next episode. But I have been the RPG Recusant. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it if you leave a like and a comment. Just love chatting to my audience and seeing what they think. And as I say, I hope you have a continued good rest of your day, your morning, or your evening, depending on when you've decided to sit down with YouTube and watch my channel tonight. Thank you so much. Have a good one.